into the record, just remembering that this is in response to your email of 9 October 2025.
Thank you. At 15:04, Advocate Johnson sends me a WhatsApp saying, "Drew, I saw your email and I will look in my office tomorrow. I might have made a mistake and told her that Chief called you today." When I spoke to the Chief, he was referring to you having the Section 27 initially, and that Tsepo spoke to you today. It was my mistake. Chief didn't say so. I reply, noted, Advocate Johnson. Thank you.
Thank you. And did Advocate Johnson get back to you as to whether she found the Section 27 in her office?
No, never did.
Sorry. And at this point, you are discussing which Section 27? Is it the one that was presented before us or the one that references the PKTT complaints and others?
In the email and in this, there was, as I stated, my interpretation of why the commissioners and the chair ended up with this is that they were trying to make sure that the original, there was no copies of the original to show that there was PKTT. So they were alleging that I said I had misplaced it, which is why I responded in email in that manner. And Advocate Johnson replies in WhatsApp. And then when I see the 27 referral flighted here, in my head, I put two and two together as to why they were trying to scapegoat me with the 27 missing.
So the 27 referred to in this WhatsApp message, where she says, I made a mistake, she's referring to the one that you saw and had to give back to her.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Baloy. Then it really is the last topic on this aspect. In your notes on file 11, page 59, because we are dealing with the topics and not going chronologically, I don't want to miss out on this point because it does fall under the Mokwele matter. Even though the timeline is June 2025 and we deal mainly in June 2025 with the Medicare 24 issue. This is your notes regarding a meeting on the 10th of June 2025, where you say it was, the ID was present, Joy, Sesoko, Charles, Pat, Brian, Dylan, and you. And you were discussing the project operation or project diversion. There is in the corner, in a block on the right-hand side, a reference to somebody's name. You'll tell us who that person is, and in charge of vetting. I just want you to address the commissioners on that note.
This is a meeting that's called by the ID to discuss the takedown. Before I get to that block, can I just, the reason I want to just discuss this portion is it will also explain how this block happened. So Advocate Johnson, who is the head of office, who's not on the ground doing investigations, is now informing the prosecutors and the investigators where accused number 3, Mr. Hudson, must be picked up from. Meaning when the team goes to arrest him, they must arrest him from his home because he works at a safe house. These are now the instructions from Advocate Johnson.
This is where you say, what is that word where you say something for Thursday?
Aim for Thursday.
Aim for Thursday. So you're aiming for J50 Thursday?
Correct.
And she's telling you, she's now setting out what is to happen to the accused when the arrests are executed.
Correct,
okay.
Because at that point, all the arrests that I had been involved in IDAC we would phone the suspect or the accused person, and we would ask either for the legal representative's number, or we would speak directly to them. Being the lead investigator would do that. It's called call a friend. That's what we call it.
It's called?
Call a friend.
I see.
So we would say call a friend. We'd call them and inform them, listen, please hand yourself over at the police station at 6 o'clock on Friday morning, so that you are processed and taken to court. We are not opposing bail. Please ensure that you have your legal representation present so that the bail can proceed. That is how, in my experience in the past 4 years, almost 4 years, that is how it's been. They are arresting on the Thursday.
Sorry, and ordinarily, has the ID been involved in that call a friend decision? When you get to that point, does she give instructions? Now you must go arrest and call them, call a friend and tell them to present.
If I may just give an example. So the ID chooses which project she gets involved in when it comes down to Takedown. So in the 2023 27 referral, when everything was complete and we were ready now to enroll the matter. Like I said, I had a very strong deputy director, but even he couldn't stand up to Advocate Johnson. And there was plans to go and arrest the suspect and drive the suspect for 6 hours so that they can appear in Pretoria. And I'm saying to them that this person is an elderly person with comorbidities. It can never happen that way. You cannot put them in the back of the car to drive them, especially for something that happened in 2014. So eventually, the deputy director and I got very frustrated, and because they wanted to make a spectacle of the arrests. They wanted flash and lights of cameras, and so eventually the deputy director and myself went to Mr. Sesoko, and we said, please go and speak to Advocate Johnson on our behalf, because this arrest cannot take place this way. So here, there was no, I think from the evidence the commission has heard thus far, no matter what was said during this project, what Advocate Johnson and what Mr. Paramount wanted was done. So there was no reasoning. So they were planning to arrest on Thursday to appear on the Friday. Advocate Johnson was asking where Lushaba was going to be picked up from. Then Advocate Johnson was advising that Hudson must be picked up and taken to the station for processing from his home because he works at a safe house, and that they had to figure out where Eugene was because he's traveling a lot and he's medically boarded off or something, so he's not permanently within crime intelligence anymore.
This list is the Lushaba matter?
Correct.
Okay.
Now, going to the block that I had explained to Advocate Ncube. So we in Advocate Johnson's office, and we're sitting at the boardroom table and we're discussing. Advocate Johnson is now giving instructions about what must happen in the third week, because remember, every second week she wanted arrests. Advocate Johnson looks at me and she says, Drew, you'll be embarrassed to be Indian. So I was taken aback because I was busy taking notes, and I didn't know that they were talking about the person who's acting as in Mr. Khan's place. It's a Miss Krishnadutt.
General Khan's position,
Sure,
yes.
Correct. It's a Miss Krishnadutt.
Brigadier Krishnadutt.
Thank you. So Advocate Johnson says, Drew, you'll be embarrassed to be Indian. The way she walks around talking to the staff, you'll be embarrassed. And then I'm told that I must, when I'm getting to the point of or looking at the evidence for the vetting, because Brigadier Krishnadutt is acting as the head of the vetting department at the moment. I must look if there's evidence to charge Krishnadutt.
As part of CI7 in the Mukwele matter?
Either CI7 or the other two.
Okay, so one of the vetting matters.
That is why it's there in that block the way it is.
And who is Brigadier Krishnadutt?
So from that conversation in Advocate Johnson's office, Advocate Johnson then said, when she was explaining how Brigadier Krishnadutt speaks to this staff and why I'd be embarrassed and all of that, she indicated Junaid is reporting to her. So at that time, I already knew that Junaid is Mr. Johnson, Advocate Johnson's husband.
And the issue with Brigadier Krishnadutt is that she was promoted to brigadier before Brigadier Johnson.
I came to learn that after, when I was inquiring as to what exactly is up with, because it's the first time I'm hearing the name. We now already almost 6 months into the investigation. It's not on the 2830, and I'm being told to look for. But the manner in which it was explained in the office about being embarrassed and the way the brigadier speaks to her staff and the screaming.
Come up in any of the previous meetings, any documentation regarding any of the matters at that stage?
No, in fact, Mr. Perumal called me later that evening after this meeting, or maybe later that week, but after this meeting. And he said to me, "Hey, Dee, I looked, but I can't find any evidence against Krishnadutt."
And did Advocate Johnson give an indication as to where she was getting this information? Was it pillow talk or was it coming from General Khan?
I cannot answer that. I had my own ideas because of, my own assumptions because of the way the investigation was being done. And the fact that in every single meeting, Advocate Johnson would refer to Mr. Khan. Either Mr. Khan messaged or...
General Khan, you mean?
General Khan. Or that Mr. Perumal had spoken to General Khan.
Okay. Thank you for indulging me on those matters. Yes.
Are you going to be coming back to this page 59?
No, Commissioner Balu, I have strict instructions to move on to the next topic, so you may go ahead.
Okay. Still at that page 59, just to complete and make sure that I don't draw my own conclusions, what it means. So you have, in the next subheading, you have third week off, and you have names, you have Ntsiya might come in after Ngube, no Ntsiya, Madondo, Mukwele. Was this the next set of people you were required to arrest?
Commissioner Baloy, in this paragraph, I'm told that there's a member of crime intelligence called Ntsiya who might be willing to talk.
I see.
And this is coming from Advocate Johnson.
Okay. And then the next one, that's really what I'm interested in, which you have an asterisk next to it. You have J50, tell somebody that I can read, equals message, NDPP, reply, and then go. What is this note about?
Okay, Advocate Johnson had indicated that this is how she expected the arrests to happen. Once the J50s were authorized, I was to inform her. Okay. From there, she would then message the NDPP that there's a takedown from IDAC happening. And then once the NDPP replied, all the teams that were set to do the arrests were then to go.
Okay.
And so that's how the...
And NDPP being Advocate Shamila Batoye at this stage?
Correct, Advocate Batoye.
And was that kind of report notifying the NDPP, was that standard practice? Is that how it worked? When you do takedowns, did you forewarn the National Director of Public Prosecutions?
I only know of 2 instances. I apologize. I know of 2 instances. The 2023 and this one.
In the others, I mean, you know more than,
Just let me know once you have it.
Yes, that's correct. On the 4th of June.
Okay, so this is before this meeting of 10 June,
Correct, yes.
okay? And it says, it's from Advocate Johnson. Sisoko, I asked Dylan to let me know when they will arrest as I need to inform the NDPP. He indicated that the main accused is on leave, etc., and they might push for this afternoon. I let him know that I don't agree. I cannot tell the NDPP today that we are arresting today. What will our urgency be based on? In addition, the DPP is not a rubber stamp and should be given an opportunity to read the papers. I suggest we wait for 2 weeks when the main accused is back at work and then proceed. I'm also aware that accused 4 is not in Gauteng. The team must use the next 2 weeks to determine exactly where all the accused are. When we do arrest, we should be able to pick them up at one go.
Correct.
Okay.
So on the on the day that on the 12th of June, when the arrests of 2 accused were effected and the other 2 handed themselves over on the morning of the 13th, when I left the boardroom, Mr. Sissoko was in the boardroom with, if I'm not mistaken, there were 4 teams of 4 investigators that was set to go and arrest. So when I left the boardroom, it was the team, Mr. Perumal, Mr. Padiachi, and Mr. Sissoko.
yeah, we've had Mr. Sissoko, who largely portrayed his position or participation in these matters as passive because he was sidelined and he didn't really become involved and he kept his head down. That's some of his evidence. In the end, documents were produced, email exchanges that show him addressed. How would you describe his involvement with these matters? I mean, to state the obvious, at 410, it suggests that he was involved. That's why he's getting this kind of report from the ID. But I would like to hear in your own words how you describe his involvement in these matters against crime intelligence.
Advocate Johnson would involve Mr. Sissoko when she felt like it. And then in those meetings, he would be, she would say he's the go-to person for this, as I will illustrate a bit later. But in essence, he was not party. He was, can I say 1 foot in, 1 foot out? So he was involved, but not in the decision-making. He was involved in a lot of the meetings. He was involved in a lot of the complaints and fights. And with regards to just putting his head down and turning the other way, just to give you an example, Mr. Sissoko spoke about a meeting where he facilitated coercion amongst myself and Mr. Perumal. And in that meeting, Mr. Padiachi leaned over the boardroom table, screaming at me with his finger in my face. And I mean literally, if I moved, he probably would have hit me, or if he could get any closer, he would have hit me that day. And no one said anything, and Mr. Sissoko was chairing the meeting. I was called in later by Mr. Sissoko to say, the way he speaks to you, Drew, or no, I'm going to call him and speak to him, but why didn't you say anything when he was doing it? And then I find out later on that that incident is not even reported to Advocate Johnson by Mr. Sissoko, who was supposed to take a full report, and it's reported that we have now found common ground to work together. But we hadn't, because Advocate Serenia told the commissioners and chair that I wasn't even talking to Mr. Padiachi after that.
Let me ask differently. He's head of, Mr. Sissoko is head of investigations. Maybe let me say that in my engagement with him, I characterize the quality of investigations as poor, as you complain, that you looked at what was being brought to you. And the question to him was, where was the head of investigations when you look at these documents from your people, these reports? So my question is to try and understand whether in meetings where you were present, did he engage about the quality of information that is being put to the prosecutors, on the basis of which you are making recommendations and decisions, on the basis of which the investigating director is making decisions or required to make decisions? What was his participation as head of investigations in that?
So I'll give you an example of what happened on the 12th of May. Mr. Sissoko said, because there's this dispute now between the prosecutor saying there's no case and the investigator saying that the prosecutor doesn't understand the case, both sides should do a report, as I've explained with the links and how it would link to the offenses, etc. It was agreed that that would be done. And the very next day, Mr. Perumal is saying, I'm not going to do it because those things come out in, well, it would have been used in this commission. Those things come out as material later. And Mr. Sissoko was not able to enforce it because Advocate Johnson had sided with Mr. Perumal.
Thank you.
Okay. Can I just take you to the topic of General Khan's statement in the Lushaba matter, the 828, and what happened there and the issue that you raised? For that, can we go to page 586 of 10 part 2, file 10 part 2. And we'll start at the bottom of the page, where Mr. Padiachi on the 28th of January 2026 sends an email to you and Mr. Perumal with the subject 828 affidavit, Major General F. Khan. Hi, Drew, please find copy of 828 affidavit of Major General Khan. Why was he sending you this email, the affidavit?
There was a meeting. So, because the investigators were not gelling with the prosecutors, Advocate Johnson instructed that we were supposed to meet once a week. Even though the matters were already in court, we were supposed to meet once a week and discuss. So on that particular day, so we were supposed to be in court that Thursday or Friday for the leg one, Lushaba matter. And in that meeting, I discovered that there's a statement that's commissioned in September 2025. I've not been provided. A defense has not been provided with the statement, and I've already replied to request for further particulars on 3 of the 4 accused. So I was highly annoyed.
Sorry, I just wanted to know, he was sending you the affidavit following a meeting that was held?
Correct.
Where they said that there was the statement.
Because we were going through the annexure, or the A's, and I said, but where does 828 come from? Because, I'm sorry, I don't have an 828, and that's how it came about.
Okay, so he sends it to you, and then you respond on the top of page 586. And if you can perhaps just read to us what your response is, because I think it's important to place in context that this is now the affidavit of Major General Khan, which has not been disclosed to the accused.